Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the inner sanctum.
Comedy this hour that will make Jimmy in Boston very, very happy. An episode of My Friend Irma starring Marie Wilson from 75 years ago, March 28th, 1948, as Marie and Al and Jane and, well, they get into politics. Thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday, and of course you know what that means. This is the 22nd day of March, 81st day of the year. We have 284 days remaining until we get to 2024. The Pilgrims of Plymouth Colony signed a peace treaty on this date in 1621 with two tribes of Indians. Massachusetts Bay Colony outlawed the possession of cards, dice, and gaming tables in 1630. In 1871, in North Carolina, William Woods Holden became the first governor of a U.S. state to be removed from office by impeachment. President Roosevelt signed into law on this date in 1933 a bill legalizing the sale of beer and wine. 1941, Washington's Grand Coulee Dam began to generate electricity. 1960, Arthur Leonard Schwagwo and Charles Towns received the first patent for a laser. In 1963, the first Beatles album released in the UK, Please Please Me. It'd be another year before they caught light in the U.S. 1975, a fire at Browns Ferry nuclear reactor in Decatur, Alabama, caused dangerous lowering of cooling water levels. 1993, Intel shipped the first Pentium chips, the 8586, featuring a 60 megahertz clock speed, 100 plus MIPS, and a 64-bit data path. The comet Hale-Bopp had its closest approach to Earth on this date in 1997. And in 2004, Ahmed Yassin, the co-founder and leader of the Palestinian Sunni Islamist militant group Hamas, and bodyguards killed in the Gaza Strip when hit by Israeli Air Force Apache-fired Hellfire missiles.
Hamas is an organization that commits terrorist acts and sponsors terrorist acts. The Sheikh was someone who was involved in these in this kind of terrorism.
White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan with President Bush's response to the killings. Passing away on this date in history of note, film producer Mike Todd. Mark Denning, the man who sang about his teenage-ul Can You Hear Me? Woody Woodpecker cartoonist Walter Lanz. Animator and studio founder William Hanna of Hanna-Barbera. And former Senator Herman Talmadge, an old-fashioned Southern populist who built schools as governor of Georgia and then called for stopping desegregation by closing them. He passed away at his Hampton, Georgia home, 88, one of his best-known exchanges with John Ehrlichman, a top Nixon aide.
Remember when we were in law school, we studied a famous principle of law that came from England and also is well known in this country, that no matter how humble a man's cottage is, that even the King of England can't enter without his consent.
I'm afraid that's been considerably eroded over the years, hasn't it?
Down in my country, we still think it's a pretty legitimate principle of law.
Mr. Ehrlichman defending on grounds of national security his decision to order a break-in to obtain the psychiatric records of Daniel Ellsberg, who has said he gave the New York Times the secret Pentagon papers on the government's conduct of the Vietnam War. Also passing away on this date in history, the father of pro wrestler Tully Blanchard, he himself a wrestler and a promoter, Joe Blanchard. This is the birth date of comedian and actor Chico Marx, author Louis L'Amour, also Carl Malden, Commandant Klink, Werner Klempner, Ross Martin, the very fine actor, Marcel Marceau, and Stephen Sondheim. Evangelist Pat Robertson, 93 years old today. William Shatner, who not only played a spaceman on TV, went to space as well, 92 years of age. The ex-wife of Sammy Davis Jr., Mae Britt, turns 89 today. Roger Whittaker, the man who sang about the New World in the Morning and talked about the last farewell, for you are beautiful. Roger Whittaker, 87 today. And George Benson turns 80, who talks in this clip about how things got started.
Somebody heard me while I sang at a street dance when I was 5 or 6 years old. I can't remember exactly. And from that day on, I was known as Little Georgie Benson, the singer. Then I learned to play the ukulele and became known as Little Georgie Benson, the ukulele player and singer, and then guitar at 9. And this man heard about me, you know, playing. People had been telling him, oh, you got to hear this young kid. You got to hear him. So one day he invited me up to his place. I was only like a 9 or 10-year-old kid. So I had to get permission from my mother to walk these 10 blocks to this place. So she told me I could go. He worked as a chef in a place that made big corned beef sandwiches, which is the first time I ever heard of corned beef. But he made me a corned beef sandwich, and he talked to me and asked me where I lived and told me he'd be down to my house, and he talked my mother into letting him take me to New York.
And the rest is history. George Benson turning 80 years old today. Wolf Blitzer over at CNN is 75. British composer Andrew Lloyd Webber is 75 as well. Sportsman Bob Costas, 71. From The Wiz, Stephanie Mills is 66. From Full Metal Jacket, Matthew Modine, 64. Key and Peele's Keegan-Michael Key, 52. And Reese Witherspoon is 47. Those some of the people who celebrate the 22nd day of March as their birthday. If this happens to be your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Kind of makes you all warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, doesn't it? Going back 75 years to March 22nd, 1948, Marie Wilson, My Friend Irma, on this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We go back 3/4 of a century to March 22nd, 1948. Marie Wilson in My Friend Irma as election time approaches.
Lever Brothers Company, makers of Swan, the soap with the exclusive super creamed blend, presents
Our Friend Swan
with My Friend Irma.
Starring Marie Wilson as Irma and Kathy Lewis as Jane.
Friendship, friendship, just a perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, theirs will still be hot. My friend Irma.
There's an explanation for everything. But I don't think that goes where Irma Peterson is concerned. Why do I say that? Well, a few minutes ago, I told Irma that in the Arctic Circle, the nights are 6 months long. And Irma said,
gee, when a girl goes to a dance, her mother must say, be a good girl and try to get home before July.
Normally those things jolt me, but tonight I'm too busy addressing a stack of envelopes for Richard to waste any time trying to straighten Irma out.
Jane, who are you writing to?
No one we know, honey. You see, Richard is greatly interested in the primary elections, and he's coming here with a stack of election circulars he wants me to mail.
Circulars?
Yeah, you know, there's a picture of the man, and underneath it is a description of what he's done.
Oh, I know. Like those pictures of Al's friends that are hanging in the post office.
No, this is a different kind of circular. You see, these men hold offices. They don't hold them up. Come in.
Well, here they are, Jane. Hello, Irma.
Hello, Richard.
I'll take the circulars, Richard. Gee, I've never seen you so excited.
Well, this is exciting and important work we're doing. If we can get the voters behind the reform ticket and elect our man, Robert Colby, this district will at long last be represented by an honest man in council.
Richard, is there any way I can help?
Yes, you can vote.
No, I can't. Those voting machines always get me so confused.
Well, honey, what's there to be confused about? All you do is press down a lever.
Yes, but I don't know where to put the nickel.
Well, I'll explain it to you later, Irma. Richard, is there anything else I can do for you?
No, just get the circulars out. I'm going down to headquarters and keep things moving. Oh, and keep spreading the word around. Colby for councilman.
All right, Richard. See you later.
Jane.
What, sweetie?
Isn't there any way I can help in the election?
No, honey. Electioneering is important work. It takes the toil of endless hours.
Well, that's why I want to help. What good is women's suffrage if I don't get a chance to suffer?
Get it, will you, honey? I'm busy.
Hello? Who is this? Joe? No, Joe, Al isn't here yet. Huh? You have a job for him? Oh, Joe, you're early. April Fool is 10 days off. Oh, you're serious? Well, I'll tell him to call you. Goodbye. What do you think, Jane? Joe has a job for Al.
How do you like that? His best friend turning on him after all these years.
Jane, can I just fold the circulars for you? I want to do something.
Well, honey, I don't want you to feel hurt, but I haven't got too much confidence in you ever since your cousin brought those campfire girls up here to hold a meeting.
Well, I thought that a log fire would make them feel at home.
Yes, honey, but we have no fireplace.
Well, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, I know, Irma, but you don't use judgment. Now, honey, look at your shoes. You paid $12 for a pair of $5 shoes. Why don't you shop around?
In the future, I will.
Well, look, honey, if you really want to help me, you can run down to the post office and get me 100 3-cent stamps.
All right, Jane, and don't worry, I won't buy at the first post office I see. I'm going to shop around.
Oh, Irma. Come in.
It's only me, Professor Kropotkin. Hello, Janie and Irma, my two little cottages. One with a clinging vine, one with an empty attic. Kropotkin, a man like you should have been a comedian. Janie, darling, could I borrow, please, your dark glasses?
Surely, why?
Well, if you'll excuse the expression, I'm taking Mrs. O'Reilly out tonight.
Oh, now, Professor, don't try to kid us. We know you're falling more in love with her every day.
Janie, when a man courts his landlady, this is not love. This is known as taking the bull by the horn.
Those aren't horns. That's the way Miss O'Reilly combs her hair.
Oh, hold it, will you, the two of you? I've got to get these circulars out for Richard. Irma, will you please hurry to the post office?
All right, Jane.
Now, honey, you know what to get.
Yes, a $3 stamp.
No, 100 3-cent stamps. Now, here, I'll write it down, sweetie, and don't shop around, please. Goodbye.
Janie, what's all this correspondence here?
Oh, this. Well, Richard and the Reform Party are trying to get Robert Colby elected in the primary so we can get good, honest representative and throw honest Jim Blake right out of office.
That I'm for. That honest Jim is such a crook, when he's campaigning, he couldn't kiss a baby without stealing the diaper pin.
Well, that's why we're all working so hard to get Colby in office. You know, Professor, you could help. You tell all the customers at the Gypsy Tea Room to vote for Colby for honest government.
Well, I'll tell them, Janie, but I don't think it's going to help.
Why not?
After they eat at the Gypsy Tea Room, they're not thinking of good government. They're more interested in a good doctor. Tell me, Janie, is Irma helping you elect Colby?
No.
Then he's got a chance.
Yeah. Now, he's got to win, and honest Jim must go. Professor, how about wearing a Colby for councilman pin? Huh?
Oh, I'd be glad to.
Here you are.
Oh.
No, Professor, not on your trousers. On your jacket.
Please, Janie, I know where the pin is needed the most. But you can count on me. Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, honestly, I'll never get these circulars out. Never. Hello? Who? Oh, Joe. No, Al isn't here yet. Well, you know Monday is his busy day. That's when he stands outside of the Yankee Stadium and waits for balls to come over the fence. Yeah, I'll have him call you, Joe. Come in.
Hiya, Jane. Where's Chicken?
Oh, she went on an errand for me, Al. You know, your friend Joe's been calling like mad all day trying to get you.
That guy's uncanny. But he ain't cutting in on this deal. It's my own idea. It's a birth certificate with an adjustable calendar. For dames who are getting old.
Al, will you believe me I'm not interested? And I'd appreciate it if you'd call Joe before he wears out the phone. If Irma comes back, I'm downstairs getting some ink from Mrs. O'Reilly. Tell her, huh?
Dynamic dame. Must be a thyroid condition. Well, while she's gone, must make that telephone call. And there's only one man to call. Who else but... Hello, Joe. Al, what is your problem? A job for me? Joe, what did I ever do that made you sore? No kidding. You mean I get $5,000 a year? Joe, it sounds too good to be honest. Oh, it ain't honest. It's a political job. Well, Joe, what sort of work do I do? You see, I couldn't take the taxpayers' money for nothing. Huh? I'll have an important duty to perform. I keep whales out of Central Park Lake. Joe, there ain't no whales in Central Park Lake. Oh, in an election year, you never ask questions. Yeah, well, what do I do to get the job, Joe? Uh-huh. 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 Mm-hmm. I'd be glad to campaign for him. He's a good man. You can count on me. Goodbye, Joe.
Oh, hello, Al, honey.
Well, what's the matter, Chicken? Why so glum?
I bought these stamps for Jane.
Chicken, you got the stamps all pasted on a cardboard.
Well, the wind was blowing. I was afraid I'd lose them. Oh, gee, Al, I don't know why Jane has no confidence in me.
Forget it, Chicken. Golden days are ahead. Before you know it, little Al will be making $5,000 a year.
Oh, Al, they'll catch you and destroy your printing press.
No, Chicken, you know I wouldn't be a counterfeiter. This is legitimate. We got to help elect the one man who can give us clean, decent government.
Who, Al?
Honest Jim Blake.
Oh, but Al, Jane and Richard are campaigning for Robert Colby. They say Jim Blake is a crook.
Chicken, it ain't exactly being crooked. You see, politicians figure they got to get what they can while they're in office, because the public forgets them so quickly. You take President Hoover, in office 4 years, and what's his reward? Got his name on a vacuum cleaner. and Adams got his name on a hat. Lincoln is on a penny, and Wilson is on a ham. It's enough to frustrate an honest man.
Oh, but the papers say Jim Blake is the most dishonest man that was ever in office.
Just propaganda, Chicken. Look at the things he's done for the city. Take that beautiful highway he built last year.
But it cracked in 2 weeks.
Well, Jim couldn't help that. Strong weeds.
Well, how about that bridge he built? It fell down in 3 days.
Well, honest Jim couldn't help it if the rain dissolved the cement. Besides, honey, you're looking at the bad side of him. Look at the good he's done. Built his wife a beautiful home. Gave her a mink coat. Gave his brother a pardon. There's a man with a heart.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I hate to work against Jane.
Chicken, face this thing realistically. I love you. And with 5 G's a year coming in, we can get married. And there'll be no more of those long hours going to work every day. You can get a part-time job.
You'd really marry me, Al?
Why, sure, I'd marry you, Chicken. You think I like sleeping on park benches every day until 4 in the afternoon? I want to have a home to do that in.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Do you think Jane will be angry with me if I help you?
Well, Chicken, you know Jane has no confidence in you.
Well, that's true. She has lost a little confidence in me. Ever since I mixed the brown and white shoe polish together for my sport shoes.
Well, what do you say, Chicken? Will you help me with Honest Jim's campaign?
All right, I'll do it because I know it means you'll marry me, and it'll show Jane I'm smart enough to mix in politics, too.
That's the spirit, Chicken. But But remember, we don't let Jane know that we're working for the opposition. If they want to work for Colby, okay. We're for Blake.
All right, Al. Gee, I'm so excited about you and politics. Who knows? Someday you may be governor and I'll be your wife.
Never can tell, chicken.
Imagine me, a governess.
March 22nd, 1948, Marie Wilson and My Friend Irma here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll have the news from 75 years ago, but first, these messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. We're listening to an episode of My Friend Irma starring Marie Wilson, as was broadcast on Monday, March 22nd, 1948. In the newspapers of that Monday 75 years ago, these were some of the headlines. The conflict between Russia and the Western powers under American leadership is now building up tension so rapidly that responsible administration officials say they do not dare predict when the crisis will lead. John M. Hightower, writing for the Associated Press, says the situation is regarded by diplomatic authorities as so serious that it may cause Secretary of State Marshall to change his plans to attend the Inter-American Conference scheduled to open at Bogota, Colombia, March 30th. The American government has determined that the days of easy Soviet conquest are at an end, and that any communist move beyond Eastern Europe must be resisted to the limit. The Soviet Union charged yesterday that the proposal to return Trieste to Italy was an attempt by the Western Allies, particularly the U.S., to influence the Italian election. In the first Russian reaction to the Big Three request that Italy's peace treaty be amended, the nightly Radio Moscow newscast declared that the U.S., Britain, and France were acting behind the back of the Soviet Union. The broadcast carefully avoided the question to acceptance or rejection of the joint request for peace treaty amendment, first announced in Turin Saturday by French Foreign Minister Georges Bidal. In its regular news broadcast, Radio Moscow said the U.S., Britain, and France, acting behind the back of the Soviet Union, are proposing to revise the peace treaty with Italy for the purpose of putting Trieste under Italy's control. Critical Hollywood agrees that Gentleman's Agreement, released with some misgivings because of its controversial subject matter, is the best picture of 1947. Ronald Colman and Loretta Young are the best players of the year, likewise by decree of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Coleman won with his portrayal of a murderous actor in A Double Life, and Miss Young for her characterization of a Swedish-American politician in The Farmer's Daughter. Edmund Gwynn in Miracle on 34th Street and Celeste Holm in Gentleman's Agreement were voted Best Supporting Players. Negroes answered the White South's protest against President Truman's civil rights program yesterday with a renewed demand for equality. First, a 7-state regional conference of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People adopted a policy statement denouncing discrimination in education and voting and insisting on the right of personal safety. Delegates also condemned recent activities of the Ku Klux Klan in Georgia and called the KKK a terrorist organization. Later, they heard Walter White, NAACP Executive Secretary for New York, brand the Southern Rebellion as a cheap political trick and call for a vigorous drive toward battering down existing racial barriers, as well as rejecting all new schemes for segregation. Drastic government steps under the Taft-Hartley Act to end the week-long coal strike reported in the making yesterday. A high official said privately that the steps will be taken unless a federal mediator service meeting Monday with union leader John L. Lewis and the coal operators gets results. The atmosphere for the joint session with Cyrus S. Ching, mediator service director, looked none too promising. Lewis, in accepting the meeting, said it was preposterous to assume that any progress will be made. He said the operators will be to blame. The question of military aid for China comes to a vital testing point today. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee tackled the problem of how China can best be helped at this time. The administration has asked $570 million economic aid, but there is strong sentiment in the House and Senate to earmark a sum for military use. And from Ohio comes word that Jerome M. Schmucker, 89, the Ohio's apple butter king and founder-president of the Smucker Company, died yesterday at his home after an 8-week illness. He founded his company 52 years ago, making apple butter and other preserves from an old family recipe. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Monday, March 22nd, 1948, on your radio, My Friend Irma, which continues following these messages on this Wednesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, right here on your favorite radio station. Coming up on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Jack Webb stars in an episode of Dragnet from 69 years ago, March 23rd, 1954, The Big Mustache, a man with a false mustache suspected of robbing a supermarket. That comes up on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But now the conclusion on this Wednesday edition, My Friend Irma, starring Marie Wilson, Politics. 75 years ago, March 22nd, 1948.
Well, the campaign for Robert Colby is just going wonderfully. I never knew life could be so hectic, but I love it. Richard and I have been working day and night, but we're too thrilled to be tired. We're going to put an honest man in office, and nothing is going to stop us. In fact, we're at a big rally now singing our campaign song.
Vote for Colby, vote for Colby, he will never fail. His election means perfection, crooks will land in jail. Down with them, vote for Colby, vote for Colby, he should wear the crown. So vote, friends, to throw Jim Blake right out of town.
Oh, Richard, isn't it thrilling?
Oh, yes, and I'm sure that we'll elect Colby.
Hello, Jamie.
Oh,
Richard.
Professor, I'm so glad you could come to the rally.
Mrs. O'Reilly stood me up. She said I insulted her.
Why?
She wanted to go to a horse show. I told her she wouldn't have a chance.
Oh, Chicken, ain't this some rally? Boy, if Jane and Richard could only see us now, they'd know they're licked.
Al, I've been doing a lot of good work.
Yeah, what do you mean, Chicken?
Well, I think Honest Jim has been wasting his time. He's kissing all the babies, but they can't vote.
What about it?
I've been kissing their fathers.
Chicken, you don't have to overdo it. By the way, did you get rid of all those circulars I gave you?
Yeah.
Good, good.
And where I got rid of them, no one will ever find them.
Chicken, I meant to give them out, not hide them.
Oh, Al, isn't there anything more I can do?
No, Chicken. Don't want you to overwork your little mind.
Oh, I haven't been overworking it, honey. I hardly know it's there.
Well, Chicken, that's enough for today. You go home and don't forget, tell all your friends to vote for Blake.
All right, Al. Gee, I can't wait until you get the job and we get married. My hope chest is all ready. I just put in 6 baseballs, 3 tennis rackets, and a pair of skis.
What's the idea, Chicken?
Well, I read in a book that a wife should be a good sport.
Hi, honey. Where have you been?
Oh, places.
Places? What are you doing with that Jim Blake pin? Irma, you're not electioneering for that crook.
Well, Al says he's not so bad, and if he's elected, Al will get a job, and Al promised to marry me.
Sweetie, if I bought a box of rice every time Al promised to marry you, the Chinese wouldn't have anything left to eat.
Oh, but Jane, I love Al, and I want to get married. I want children, a home, and a place to put all those statues I won at Coney Island.
I know you do, honey. But won't it bother your conscience to wake up every morning and say, Irma Peterson, you're a bad citizen?
I suppose so, but it'll bother me more to wake up every night and say, Irma Peterson, you're an old maid.
Well, honey, it's your life, and since I know Honest Jim doesn't have a chance, you can do what you want.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I want to practice what I'm going to say to the girls at the office tomorrow.
Well, there stands Irma in front of a mirror. And it's a sight that would make Patrick Henry turn over in his grave. She's evidently practicing the gestures that she's going to make in her speech. But such gestures I have never seen. Now she's shaking her fist. Now she's waving her arms in defiance. She's evidently scored her points. She's also knocked the clock off the mantel. Now she's shaking her finger and she's pointing to her head. This can only mean that Blake is solid. Now she's taken the Manhattan telephone directory and she's holding it over her head with all her strength. Irma, honey, what's the idea of that?
Well, I want to show him that Blake will carry New York.
Oh, you're ridiculous. Come in.
Hello, Jane.
Oh, Richard. Well, what's the matter? Your face is white as a sheet.
Jane, I'm afraid that all of our work has been in vain. Look at this headline.
What's it about, Richard? I'm too nervous to read it.
No, honest Jim Blake and his machine have dug up a scandal about Colby that'll cost us every woman's vote.
What was it?
Well, they claim that 18 years ago he struck his wife. And on Mother's Day.
Oh, no, it can't be true.
No, it isn't. It was just an unfortunate accident. He just happened to trip with a hammer in his hand. Yes, but Blake has distorted the story.
Oh, Richard, what can we do?
Well, I understand that Blake is addressing the heads of all the women's clubs at Sloan's Hall tonight. Now, we have to go there with Colby so he can prove his innocence.
Yeah, all right, Richard, but I'd like to inform you that we have a Benedict Arnold in our midst.
Oh, he won't help you, Jane. We've got important people, too.
Jane, you mean that Irma is campaigning for that thief, Blake?
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm surprised at you. Come on, Jane. Goodbye, Irma.
Goodbye, Irma.
Vote for Jim Blake. Vote for Jim Blake. Square as sky, you know. Come in.
Hey.
What's the matter, Chicken?
Well, Richard and Jane are mad at me because I'm trying to help Jim Blake. Gosh, are you sure he's honest?
I already told you, Chicken.
Are you sure you'll marry me if I help him win?
Am I sure? Chicken, I already told 3 of the boys to stay out of trouble because I might need them for ushers.
All right, Al.
And Chicken, tonight's the night you can really help the campaign. You see, Honest Jim is going to address the women's club at Sloan's Hall tonight.
Well, that's where Jane and Richard are going.
Oh, we'll make monkeys out of them. Now, the chief wants you to come up out of the audience like you wasn't rehearsed and testify that Honest Jim is the ladies' friend. We gotta swing the women's vote.
But, Al, why did they pick on me?
Chicken, there's more chance of you saying the right thing. You don't know him. I mean, they don't want anybody too professional looking. They want somebody with charm and personality and what the French call c'est la guerre.
All right, Al. I'll do it if only for our children's sake. Yeah. Every time I see children, I get goose pimples. Of course, you wouldn't understand. You'll never know what it is to be a mother.
Well, Chicken, now you got the right spirit, and it'll teach Jane not to underestimate us.
That's right. She wouldn't let me on her bandwagon. Well, before I'm through, even my friends will want to take me for a ride.
Well, Chicken, this is Sloan's Hall. Now, when we get inside, it's up to you to help swing the women's vote for Honest Jim.
But, Al, when they call me up from the audience, what shall I say?
Well, just say that you don't know Honest Jim personally, but people say he will undertake everything that good government stands for.
Undertake everything good government stands for? Well, that's easy. I'll remember that, Al.
Swell, Chicken. And remember, my job, our whole future together depends on this. Let's go inside. Hey, Chicken, look. Richard's about to speak.
Well, Al, Richard and Jane are for Colby and we're for Blake. I feel like that Japanese spy Harry Carey.
Shh. Richard's going to speak.
Ladies of the Metropolitan District, as you know, Honest Jim Blake has cooked up a smear campaign to besmirch the good name of our candidate, Robert Colby. And I think it is only fair that you hear the true story from his own lips. And here he is, the Honorable Robert Colby.
Ladies! Ladies, please, listen to me, please. Let the man have a chance.
Richard, they won't even let him speak.
Yes, that's Jim Blake's doing. He's got his co-workers out there to influence the other women.
Oh, Richard, you mean we have no chance?
No, nothing could win the election now, nothing.
Oh, look at that pompous crook, Honest Jim Blake. Why, he's getting up on the platform. Look how cocky he is, Richard.
You all know me, Honest Jim Blake. Thank you, lovely ladies, mothers, sisters, aunts, nieces. In fact, all of this lovely feminine pulchritude. It has been contended by my opposition that I am a thief. They will tell you I stole $1,842,000 from the taxpayers. I tell you, ladies, and I give you my solemn word, those figures are incorrect. My opponents also contend that I secured my office through acts of violence. This is not true, and my former opponent would personally deny that if he were alive today. But why should I ask you to take my word? Surely somewhere in the audience is someone who does not know me, yet knows the good that I've done.
Get ready, Chicken. That's you.
Step forward. Anyone at all? Ah, here's a charming young lady. Who are you, young lady?
I'm anybody at all.
Fine. You don't know me, young lady, do you?
No, I just know the fellow that works for you.
Mere coincidence. Now, will you tell these wonderful ladies what you think of me?
Well, now let me remember. Oh, I know. Ladies, I don't know Honest Jim personally, but I know he will take everything the government will stand for.
I'm sure this young lady is just a little nervous.
Yes, and I can't understand it. I was rehearsed so well.
Come on, Chicken, run.
But Al, what about your $5,000?
You'll need that for flowers.
Still trying to gather my senses. All I remember of the women's meeting was that it ended with Honest Jim chasing Irma and Al down the aisle with a fire axe. This evidently convinced the women voters that Honest Jim wasn't exactly the fatherly type, for they have elected Robert Colby to council almost unanimously. Now Irma thinks that she's America's foremost election authority. In fact, last night I said, Irma, I see where they're talking about making MacArthur president. And Irma said,
oh, I don't think so. Edgar Bergen would never let him go.
You know, if Bergen ever needs another dummy, he can borrow my friend Irma.
My-Friend-Irma, presented by Swan, another fine product of Lever Brothers Company, was produced and directed by Cy Howard. Tonight's script was written by Cy Howard and Park Levy. Folks, next Monday evening, listen again to
Our Friend Swan.
With my friend, Irma.
Starring Mary Wilson as Irma and Kathy Lewis as Jane. The part of Professor Kropotkin was played by Hans Conried. Ladies, listen. The shortage of fats and oils is still very serious, and it's worldwide. So please keep on saving every drop of used kitchen fat. Your butcher will pay you for every pound. Frank Bingman speaking.
March 22nd, 1948, My Friend Irma here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And I want to once again thank our friend Jimmy in Boston. Haven't heard from Jimmy in a while. I hope he's doing okay. But one of the great things about Jimmy is he always has been very happy about our bringing My Friend Irma out for people to enjoy. We have... And Jimmy sent me a marvelous, and if you go to our webpage, classicradio.stream, you can see the picture of the nice stuff that Jimmy has sent, just because he appreciates our show. I hope Jimmy's well, and I hope he's still kicking around out there. Classicradio.stream is the webpage. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. By the way, My Friend Irma, available also over at the webpage of Ted, radiomemories.com. Ted does restorations of shows and then makes them available to you at a very reasonable cost. Cassette, CD, or flash drive on your computer. That is at radiomemories.com, and tell Ted I sent you by. Please thank this station, support their advertisers, their kindness and courtesy, and allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream, going back a year and a half. Classicradio.stream. Shows are there as well. You can, as I said, you can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links, and if you're so interested, you can buy me a coffee. That Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio programs. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks so much for making us a part of your Wednesday. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.